Hey everybody, it's Wednesday. It's a super windy day. I actually filmed something Monday when I arrived. I walked across. Can you tell what that is behind me? It's America's great outdoor cathedral. It's the Brklyn Bridge, and you can walk across it. You walk between traffic, so it's a little noisy, you know, but you'll see a lot of interesting people walk by. A lot of people walk in all types and shapes and sizes, and yeah, and I'm by a little bit. There's a little tunnel here that goes to Chinatown, so I hope I'm not in the way of people. But so I just found out I'm staying at a place on 23rd Street, Catholic guest house, and named Leo House. If you ever want a place to stay, it's very simple and good, and by New York rates, pretty affordable, which doesn't mean it's cheap, but. In the elevator it said, "Did you know that Mother Teresa stayed here in room 409 in 2000 or 1999 or something like that?" And I was like, "Wow!" So I'll have to go by room 409 and get a selfie. On the way down here, I should just show you a little quick where I am. So I'll take a little round. Pretty exciting place to be, huh? New York City, right? So. This was my day to go to Greenwich Village and walk by some Bob Dylan places. So I just saw that movie and Complete Unknown, and so I looked up what address, where did he live when he was living there in Greenwich Village with Susie Rotolo, and got the address. So I got a couple of pictures of me sitting on the stoop, and that's right when he, his early days when he came from Minnesota to here. So that was fun. And then some of the folk cellars where he played, I walked by. They were closed. But so I did that little pilgrimage. More soberly, a couple things. Well, should I do Parish news quick before I forget? So. Movie night is coming up. That's the priority because that's this Saturday, and I didn't advertise it that much, but it's a big deal. Steve Dayton will come, and he co-produced this with J.B. Hollers, all about the Uniroyal plant and its impact in Eau Claire over the years, and particularly its closing. And it debuted last May at the Pablo Center. Great audience, was filled the house, and so if you never got a chance to see it, come on. If you did get a chance to see it, come anyway, because Steve can tell you about making the movie. And we hope that Darryl Wecken, a member of St. James also, will be able to make it. He was the union president back then in the day. And so it'll be great to have him to give his comments about that movie. So hope you can hear this okay. I think you can. So... where else did I just did a lot of stuff. I'm hiking pretty good. My legs are holding up. Get a little sore at night, but it's not like when I was last time I was here was 21 years ago. I walked a little faster then. And, but anyway, it's been really good. I saw a couple Broadway shows. Going to the Late Show. I got tickets for that tonight. They tape it in the afternoon, so that's what I do after I leave here. I went to St. Thomas Church on 5th Avenue yesterday, right when it opened. Actually, I was there at 8:30 and it wasn't open, and I was irritated, but at 8:31 it was open. It's supposed to open at 8:30. And that St. Thomas Church, it's Episcopalian, it's up on, I think, 53rd and 5th. It's right next to the Museum of Modern Art. But anyway, it's, I've heard, a long time ago, I heard that the stone, they have this thing, they call it a reredos, so it's like behind the altar there's this big tall wall that goes up. It's kind of a Gothic architecture, and the wind's starting to come a little bit. I'd walk right across the bridge, but the wind would be so bad. So I don't know how, it's like, I don't know, I don't want to exaggerate, it was like 60 feet high, and it's all this carved stone. And the carved stone is from Dunville. So I don't know if it's so popular in Eau Claire, but in Menominee, a lot of businesses will have this stone from Dunville, because it's right next to Downsville, right by Menominee, and I guess it's very carvable and good-looking stone. So this whole I'll post a picture on my Facebook page, or maybe the Parish Facebook too. But it's really incredible. So I sat there for about a half hour. Then I moved on to the Metropolitan Museum of Art. They had an incredible lot of religious art from Siena. Just before the bubonic plague broke out for 50 years, they had this rich, I don't know if you'd call it a transition between, I don't know, Byzantine and Renaissance art, or maybe it was Renaissance. I don't know. Not an art scholar, but a lot of nice religious subjects, and it looked a lot like Byzantine iconography, which of course I like. That was good. And then I saw, some Van Goghs, and went through the Egypt Museum, and the whole time I'm reading this article or the book called All the Beauty in the World, which is just a magnificent title. I forget the author's name, but it's All the Beauty in the World. And he worked for the New Yorker, and his brother got cancer and tragically died in his 20s. And the author said, I need to do something else. I can't just do this office job at the New Yorker. So he applied to be a guard at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And so I was reading this book, and it goes back and forth, his story, grieving and the loss of his brother, and his experience of being a guard at the Met. And it's just a beautiful book. It's a very, very thoughtful. It's religious in an indirect way. He doesn't talk a lot about faith in it, but he. What was I going to say? I hope I'm not in the way of these people. Anyway, so I'm reading it. I'm reading all about the museum, and then there I'm in the museum, and I even walked up to a few of the guards, and I said, "You know about this book by a guard here?" And they said, "Yeah, All the Beauty in the World." And I said, "Yeah, that one." He goes, "Yeah, we were really proud of him." I don't know if he's still working there or not. I didn't want to, I don't know, be too stargazing, but he said, "Yeah, we were really proud of him." And I said, "Yeah, I suppose it gives you a little oomph to your job. It's kind of, when someone writes about what you do, it adds a little dignity to that." I didn't want to say that because I thought they might say, "What do you think? Did you think before you read that we didn't have dignity?" And I wouldn't have said that. But when someone highlights what you do in a book, that's pretty cool. So, how did I get on that? Before I forget, so movie night I mentioned, that's this Saturday after Mass. Not this week, but the week after that will be Catholic Schools Week. So I hope you, can enjoy that. I know the kids will enjoy it in our school. And then February 2nd, looking ahead, Parish pool tournament's coming. It's always the weekend before the Super Bowl. Hopefully people are free, don't have any parties they have to go to. They can come over 1 o'clock Sunday afternoon, February 2nd. And I also schedule it then so that if the Packers are in the playoffs, there's no conflict. But that's not a problem this year, is it? And I'm sorry for the Vikings fans as well. So they both did a poor job in the first round of the playoffs. So that's sad, because when your teams win in the playoffs, that's fun, right? Okay, so some sad. So I talk about the guard at the. It's just a really good book, and so I'm reading a little about grief. Grief is kind of a important issue in all of our lives. Kind of an important issue for me, and I think I could use some healing in that area. But it's we all grieve, we all lose. And there's plenty to grieve. New York is so much fun. There's so much activity, so much good food to eat. I got close to I probably had enough food yesterday, and then I got off the subway near the hotel, and there was a Middle Eastern place that had chicken shawarma. Well, I had to have that, right? And it was delicious. It was just so good. I've had about 6 slices of pizza on the sidewalk. I had more Sicilian slices than I anticipated. I thought I'd just get New York style, but there's all kind of fun stuff. Broadway, Times Square. But then you go to 9/11, the 9/11 memorial, and there's always a lot of sirens going on. And you know, what can I say about it? The last time I was here was 21 years ago. It was after 9/11, but it was nice family. He's got little earmuffs that look like a sheep. Cute. They were still bulldozing after 9/11 happened. I was here in 2004, and so it's the first time since. Now there's this exquisite memorial, which today, I thought about doing the chat from there, but today, because of I thought it's because of the cold, the water's not running. So where the two towers stand, the perimeters of those are dug out. Maybe you've seen it. If you haven't, just kind of go to YouTube and do 9/11 memorial. It's really something. And so at ground level, the perimeter, you know, there's about a 30-inch flat surface on top, and has the names of everybody from that building who died in 9/11, and you know, first responders, and there's two of them because there were two towers, and then so right below that shelf on the inside, basically these waterfalls, and they fall down about, geez, I don't know, 30 feet maybe. That'd be 10 yards, maybe a little longer than that. 50 feet maybe. Apparently they're the largest human-made waterfalls in the world. So, you know, but it's extensive. It's the whole perimeter. And then there's another one just like that. And that guy was eating a slice. Maybe you've seen other people. So you know, you just sit there and take it in, and it's very sober. A lot of the heroes of 9/11 are memorialized there. A lot of people put those names are like. They're not just carved into the stone, it's kind of a metal, and so it's cut out, and so many people left like a white rose in one of the letters of the name of the person they want to honor and remember. So that was sobering. I still have a picture in one of the guest rooms at St. James of so on the far side, on the Brklyn side of this bridge, looking back from the shore of the East River, it's just such a beautiful picture. It had the World Twin Towers in the background. Now you see the Tower 1. I can maybe kind of see Tower 1 there. See the tallest thing with the antenna? That's just to the north of where the World Trade Centers were, and I was just up there. It's 102 floors, and kind of an expensive ticket. I actually thought I might do the chat from there, but it just didn't feel right. A lot of people there. It would have been intrusive, I think, on people's experience. I wouldn't say it was necessarily worth the cost. It was $45, and then you think you're paying $45, and then it ends up being $54 because of fees. But hey, it's vacation, right? So that was the basic ticket. You could get more. So anyway, back to when I was at the 9/11 memorial on Monday. And I was remembering, I think I shared this at 9/11 on the chat, but I was in campus ministry, both at UW Stout and UW Eau Claire. I was living at UW Eau Claire. I was a little late to rise, and I was looking forward to September 11th, 2001 for months, because that's when the new Bob Dylan album was finally going to come out. His previous album was released 4 years prior, I think. And so I hop out of bed. I'm going to go to Borders Books, buy the new Bob Dylan album, Love and Theft. And I see all these, the TV had been wheeled out into the lobby. George, Father Shovs was sitting there with the students around him. And I came down all giddy. I'm going to go get the Bob Dylan album. And he just looked at me and said, this is bad. This is bad. And I got in, and we saw I think that the airplanes had already impacted the towers. And I think shortly after I started watching that collapsed. And there is a church here. Maybe I don't think I'll get to it, but it's an Episcopal. It's called Trinity Church. It's right next to the World Trade Towers, and it remained untouched. It's one of those eerie things. Like, how did that survive so well? Maybe a sign of, I don't know, hope. It's hard to see a lot of hope in the destruction of that day, but maybe that's one. So I thought, well, I got to go to Stout, and I wanted to get the album, and it felt a little selfish of me, like I shouldn't be happy, I should just grieve today, but Oh, my need to be happy, I guess, overcame that. I mean, sometimes you feel that need more when you're confronted with grief and puzzlement and horror. And anyway, so I went to Borders on my way to Menominee, and I got the album and put it in the car and listened to it. And I think it was the first track. If it wasn't the first track, it's the only track I remember playing that day. Today has been a sad and lonesome day. Today is a sad and lonesome day. A little blues song, and well, it just was a perfect companion for 9/11. Then we got there, I think I mentioned this too, and UW Stout called us and said, can you guys at the ministry, we had a joint Lutheran Catholic campus ministry, can you guys put together a prayer service for people tonight to help us process what happened? And we did. What do you do? And I thought, well, let's grieve, let's, and so there's like Psalm 51 that Jesus quoted on the cross, my God, why have you forsaken me? I think it's Psalm 88, another really strong lament song. Just to kind of let people feel loss and pain and know that Jesus and God can receive our laments, So, so we did that. And I'm sorry, I'm in the way here. So we did that, and with candlelight on this bridge that spanned Highway 25, and I thought we did a good job. And I started to tell how the students were reacting. And then the student body president got up to talk, and he said, "These people came to our land and they bombed us. Now we're going to go and kick their..." Yeah, like that. And it was just kind of this real angry, let's take revenge tomorrow kind of thing. And, I guess I understand it. When the students loved it, they didn't love our prayer service as much as they loved that talk. And I don't know, I don't want to put it down, but it kind of taught me that people, I don't know, respond to anger and revenge and more than they respond to, let's be sad for a little while before we make brash decisions that have great consequences. So that was that. So it was nice to be back at here after the memorial was done, and to sit and ponder all that. And then I don't know, this morning I was thinking, who do I know in New York? And there was just out of the blue, I thought, sometimes you wonder about Providence. So this woman, she was at UW Stout. I knew her a little bit, not real well, but I remembered from a mutual friend that she was in New York. And I was like, what's her name? And by golly, I pulled it out, and I searched it on Facebook, and it was there. And I'm like, oh gosh, there she is with her husband, lovely husband, and and her kids. But then I paged down to see what she's been up to, and a lot of it was grief. A lot of it was like, right as COVID was starting, she had like a 3-year-old daughter who got sepsis and leukemia and died. And she was, not a lot of posts about it, but one, and then a year later, she just had this long reflection about grieving, and her father was so religious and was wondering why God would let that happen, and because everyone was praying, and it just made sense to him, if he could heal this baby, this young child, that would have been such a catalyst for so many people that have more faith, feeling like their prayers were answered. And why wouldn't God use that opportunity? And so it's a kind of heartbreaking thing to read, and she didn't really comment herself. But in subsequent comments, she talked about praying and not understanding why, and going to the cemetery every day. Either she or her husband go every day. It must be nearby. So that's another real kind of heavy. I don't even know that she had remembered me. Maybe I'll message her and just say that by happenstance I came across her post and invoking God. I don't know exactly what I'll say. I have to think about it, but when a child dies like that, so innocent, and the kid loved Disney. There are a lot of pictures, and so there's a lot to grieve in the midst of all this. That book I was reading about the guy and the 9/11, and then this post I saw. It's everything is just dying and rising, and I guess that's why God came and died, because that's what it's part of our lives, and I don't know, not to feel abandoned, but to feel accompanied when life is hard. So I read a couple things I thought today. There's a lot. I was gonna say there are a lot of homeless. Obviously there are a lot of homeless. There are a lot of homeless in Eau Claire. Eau Claire probably has more homeless, I have no idea, per capita than New York. I mean, New York's like millions of people, and you see a lot. And some of them take refuge in the subways. I must have taken close to 20 subway rides already, and I would say in maybe 4 of them, there was a homeless person passed out and dirty and smelling, and it's maybe 3. Which is sad, and I think of the suffering servant. I think of Jesus saying he's in the least, and I don't know exactly how to be helpful or how to respond to that, but I think Jesus is there in the passed out addict that smells on the train. Yeah. So those are some images that I'll remember. And I was waiting at the theater. Was it Monday night? I did so much on Monday. I didn't plan on doing anything, but I walked across the Brooklyn Bridge. I had slices. I went to a play. I went to 9/11. There's a beautiful Greek Orthodox shrine right next to the 9/11 memorial that I spent a good 45 minutes sitting in. A lot of icons, and there's pictures of the Blessed Mother over the city of New York. Anyways, I don't know if those images are online, but Greek Orthodox shrine 9/11. Might Google that. But I'm in line waiting for this play, and a homeless man the women right in front of me gave him $1 to the one homeless guy, and I thought, well, that's nice, but I just didn't, I didn't. And then this one guy, I guess I'm smiling a lot here, so I must be happy despite all the things to remember that are hard. And it's an interesting, maybe I'll preach this sometime too, but he said, "You look happy. You look very happy. You can make me happy like you if you give me some money so I can have a good meal. Don't you want me to be happy like you are happy?" And I was like, well, And so we were near a store, and I said, okay, well, he goes, buy me a meal then. Actually, he's asked for money. So I was offered, anyway, it's kind of a long story, but I thought it was an interesting tack. And then I didn't carry a lot of cash. I just had my card and my ID, and anyway, I think we parted on pretty good terms. And then the person from the theater came out and said, "You can't be bothering the patrons like this." It made him leave. So I saw a couple things in the Metropolitan Museum of Art that I liked as far as quotes. They talked about these landscapes that people did in the 19th century. Someone's named Rousseau, and the spiritual value of it. And one of his quotes was, "The tree which rustles and the heather which grows are for me the grand history, that which will not change. If I speak their language well, then I shall have spoken the language of all times." The tree which rustles and the heather which grows are for me the grand history, that which will not change. If I speak their language, well, then I will have spoken well the language of all times. Then there was just a museum explanation in this Siena. There was a display about Siena. I think I mentioned it was all religious art. It was from a church in Siena, and a section was commissioned for private devotion paintings. So, and there's little quotes that paintings made for private devotion, which could be held in one's hands, similarly drew the viewer into an intimate and immediate relationship with the holy subjects. These paintings made for private devotion, which could be held in one's hand, similarly drew the viewer into an intimate and immediate relationship with holy subjects. I think that's great. I just think that's maybe why I like icons. You get a sense of the holy, and I can actually hold this in my hand. I know it's not God, I know it's not Jesus, it's an image, but it evokes something. So those are good deals. So should I move on? I think that's maybe it. I'd like to. Maybe I'll just close. I'll walk with this, and at some point I'll say God bless you. I'll get closer to the view here. I'll try to get it. It's kind of a nice little. Take a walk in this outdoor cathedral, the Brooklyn Bridge. Thanks everybody who took down Christmas Sunday afternoon. It's a beautiful season that we had. Thanks to all the choirs, decorators, ushers. And now we're back in ordinary time until March 5th. I'll walk backwards for a second so you can see. All the world. That's what's just amazing about this place. It's just every type of person. It's cold here, but I'm not going to complain because I've seen the weather at Eau Claire. And I know it's been much more cold. Maybe I could have done the chat from here. I don't know. I just thought it'd be more windy, but I guess it's sheltered. Hope you could hear okay. I'll test it before I upload it. I'm not really going to say much. This is just if you find this interesting. I'll try to get to the first set of arches and wish you well. Little taste of New York City. There's the Manhattan Bridge. See it through the gap there in the buildings? On the other side. I'm just pointing my camera. I hope it's straight. Brooklyn Bridge, built 1893, I guess. observatory at the new tallest building. It's called One World Center. It's a nice name, One World. You're so high. And it's like you can see all the people and buildings below. We're all one world. Oh, there's some people posing for a nice picture at the Brooklyn Bridge. Isn't that awesome? Happy memory for them.